coming from the American Indian Center, where I don't have to tell you, Dave, we've seen it for so many years. Charley Norris is a god in this building. I'm telling you, he walks in, and the kids, the moms, the dads are all over him like Hulk Hogan in his heyday. And Charley teaming up with Dynamite Dan Jesser and the tremendously popular Mitch Paradise to take on the team of Cruel and Unusual, Big Daddy Hoover, Ian Xavier, and the very dangerous Hellraiser Guts.
Oh, I have to agree very much with you, Mick. This is Charley Norris's building. He built it. He is definitely the crowd favorite here. And I have to question you a little bit, though, Mick Karsh. You gave the weight of the two teams in the ring tonight, and I think you added it up a little bit wrong, because I've seen Lord Ian wrestle in cruiserweight divisions, which would make him 217 pounds or less.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for this one to get underway. Security had to step in, and I believe you probably heard me make that announcement. There's something about a Charley Norris match here at the American Indian Center. When Charley takes center stage, my God, the electricity, you could cut it with a knife. And what a six-man we've got. Dan Jesser, Big Mitch Paradise, and of course Charley Norris taking on Cruel and Unusual and Hellraiser Guts. Cruel and Unusual, arguably one of the top tag teams in the upper Midwest today. I'm talking about Hoover and Xavier.
Well, I'll tell you, Mick, they are unusual, and I have seen them dish out a lot of punishment in the ring. They always bring those chairs. If you notice, there's a chain laying next to it, and they will use those at any chance they have.
You know, you've got such diverse competition in there right now. We mentioned Hoover and Xavier. Of course, very proud of their Canadian ties, especially Lord Ian. Charley Norris, of course, out of Red Lake, Minnesota, tremendously popular. He's been a mainstay here in the state of Minnesota for the better part of the past 15 years. How many matches does we see Charley in with the likes of Larry Cameron and the Hater, on and on, Sheik Adnan, LKC, you name it. Big shoulder tackle. We'll get back to the history in a second. Watch Hellraiser Guts now. Over the top. Duck of the clothesline. Oh, Norris with that thundering clothesline. Picks him up with a big scoop slam and a Hellraiser. Doesn't know what land he's in, and he's out of here. Wow. Dynamite Dan Jesser's been a professional for about the past 7-8 years. He was brought into the sport by Brad Ringens, and you're not going to get any better coaching, any better training from a technical aspect than from Brad Ringens. We've seen Dan up and down over the years, Dave, as far as attitude is concerned. He's been a crowd favorite. He's been on the other side of the fence. Tonight, the cheers of the crowd ringing in his ears. A great competitor, great talent. And then, of course, Charley Norris, former Rocky Mountain heavyweight champion, had a stint in the American Wrestling Federation, also in World Championship Wrestling. He's been around the block. Just has all the makings of a superb tag team match.
Oh, this is going to be great, Mick. You know, and you didn't even bring up the fact that Mitch Paradise is in their corner. Look at the size of that man. Now, I know he hasn't wrestled that long, but he has the size, the strength, and the determination to carry this team.
You know, I'm going to talk about Mitch Paradise in just a second. I was actually saving a little history for Mitch and Hellraiser Guts at the same time. Big Mitch from New Prague, Minnesota. He might be the most powerful wrestler on the independent scene. And again, not another guy that was a weightlifter, a bodybuilder. He is just a monstrous individual. Outside of the ring, deep underhook, nice arm drag by Jesser. Hip toss over the top. And Hoover bails out now. I started to say Mitch Paradise outside of the ring is as nice a gentleman as you would ever want to meet. You can't imagine that he would have a temper, but if you ruffle this big man's feathers, my God, it is like a freight train coming at you. Hellraiser Guts, I don't think there's anybody more dangerous working in this area right now. He is so big, so mean, so vicious in that ring. You have to be hired on by Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. That's his history.
Well, Mick, what can I say? You just threw a history lesson at me. This is going to be one hell of a tag match. And the crowd, I mean, this crowd is so behind Charley Norris. I think it's gotten Dan Jesser a little bit up. He seems to be much more motivated than I have seen him in the past. And, you know, maybe it's just a new Dan Jesser. Maybe Brad Reingens is taking him over to Japan.
Look at the strength of Mitch Paradise taking over that ponderous weight, 350-some pounds of Ian Xavier. And I mean, that's raw power. There's not a lot of finesse there. That's just pick him up and drop him on his head. Yeah, and that the big man did, Mick. I think it's maybe time for Lord Ian to tag off here. Oh my God! Look at that power once again. Oh, that is so impressive. Big elbow right across the sternum. In for the cover. Count of one. Count of two. It's over. No, not quite. Not quite three. You know, and one person we haven't mentioned in this match, Mick, is the referee tonight, Dr. Darren Davis. I think the promotion picked a very, very talented ref. Man, we've seen wrestle in the ring numerous times. You need someone like that to try to handle a six-man tag, because we've seen a lot of referees in the past where they are totally lost in there. One team turning them around, looking the opposite direction, while a single wrestler gets triple teamed, so to speak. I think the ref's going to run roughshod over this match. Well, you made a great point here, Dave. You know, a lot of wrestlers, especially if they're a newcomer to the sport, they're intimidated. And my God, I'm intimidated, and I'm 60 feet from the ring. A guy like Darren Davis, who knows how to wrestle and who has actually faced a lot of these men, blatant choke by Hellraiser Guts, Davis isn't going to take any crap from anybody. Oh, and speaking of crap, Dr. Darren Davis is that proctologist. Hey. Let's not get into that, pardon the expression. And look at this, we've got Sheriff Johnny Emerald going into the crowd as security because Hoofer decided to take a break. And they're doing a number on Jesser over in the corner. And that is what Hoofer and Lord Ian are good at, Mick. Double teaming their opponents. Dave, whether you like that style or not, it's tag team wrestling, and they have perfected the art of tag team. Granted, they'll turn that referee's back, they'll turn them around, they'll pull the swerve, the double team, whatever it needs to be to get the job done, and they do it every single time. And there's that double elbow, and now you're seeing the tag team expertise of Cruel and Unusual, Lord Ian and Big Daddy Hoofer. Choking Jesser. Look at Charley Norris and Mitch Paradise. They want in so bad, they're just jumping out of their boots. See, and when they get in there, Mick, they are going to teach Hoofer and Ian and Hellraiser Guts a lesson there. Hellraiser Guts, we've seen him here. Look at the leg extension. We've seen him here in Minnesota, absolutely destroying the competition. Of course, a former tag team partner of the Masked Man Blood. And speaking of the Masked Man that will be here tonight, I'm not talking Blood, I'm talking the Jungle Fighter. Jungle Fighter a little bit later on. Look at Jesser doing a number, hang on. Over the top, oh God. He's got him hooked in that Calgary death drop. Float over, count of 1, 2. No, Norris in for the save. I started to say the Jungle Fighter, that perennial thorn in our side. He has vowed tonight that if he loses to the Black Stallion, he's going to take the mask off here at the Indian Center. And wouldn't you know, he's making the big, brave boast when he's wrestling a rookie barely out of wrestling camp. Well, what would you expect from the Jungle Fighter, Mick? We've seen him over the years at Ropers and Fridley. Anytime he comes out of those swamps in New Guinea, but I have never, ever seen that man put the mask up. So he's pretty confident tonight, and I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. The guy looks so familiar to me. Over the years, I've had some speculation. Oh, leg drop. I've had some ideas. He's resembled a lot of wrestlers that we've seen come and go down the pike. He looked like a referee, looked like a ring announcer. He's looked like a guy that's taken care of the equipment here, the cameras, set up the ring. I can't quite place him. I can't put a finger on it, but tonight we may just find out.
Well, wasn't there an Iraqi general a few years back that looked a lot like that person,
I don't
too?
know. Dave, I've seen so damn many of these guys come and go over the years, maybe.
But, you know, you think of the great masked wrestlers that we've seen here in the Twin Cities over the years. Dr. X, Dr. Bill Miller, the Super Destroyer, Super Destroyer Mark II, Super Destroyer Mark T, Mark III, the Super Slayer. And, you know, there was one time when the Super Slayer put his mask up against, or I should say not up against, but up against none other than Eddie Thumbs Up. I can't remember the gentleman's last name.
Gale?
Eddie Gale, that was him. Eddie Gale won the match. The mask did not come off the Super Slayer, but everything else did that night. And thankfully, somebody had a towel at ringside to cover the Slayer up.
Well, I remember, and after that, the Slayer bolted and left the state of Minnesota. Thank God he hasn't come back since. But I'm not sure that I put the Jungle Fighter in Slayer's category or anybody else, for that matter. Watch this in the ring. Snap suplex over the top, Big Daddy Hoofer. And Hoofer's a very strange-looking individual in that ring. Not the biggest guy, very tall, very lanky, about 6'2", 6'3". Wait a minute, there's a duck of that clothesline. Look at Jesser!
Look at what Jesser did!
Double lariat! And he's got to make a tag. Look at
come on, Dan, get up.
Paradise, come on!
Get up, Dan!
He's got to get over to that corner. There's a tag. Here comes Hellraiser Guts. There's a tag, and Charley Norris has hit the ring. Look at Charley taking care of business. The big man out of Red Lake, almost 300 pounds of Native American talent. He is a grizzly bear in that ring. Charley over the top goes Big Daddy Hoofer. It's all over the ring. It is everywhere. It's in the ring. It's out of the ring. Oh, there's that big
foot. That's
right
it,
to the
Nick.
face.
That is it. Hoofer's down.
Count of one. Count of two. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Count of one. Count of two. Forget it. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, your winners, Dan Jesser, Mitch Paradise, and Charley Norris. Jesser and Paradise get the victory, ladies and gentlemen, over the combination of Cruel and Unusual and Hellraiser Guts. And if you're Hellraiser Guts, you got to be steaming right about now. You got a reputation with ECW. This is going to be on the internet before this night is over. And certainly Hellraiser Guts cannot be too happy with Cruel and Unusual right now.
No, I bet this doesn't get on the internet tonight because Hellraiser Guts got something to say about it, Mick. And I know you and I aren't going to stand here and argue with them.
We're coming back, ladies and gentlemen, to the American Indian Center. We got some more great wrestling action coming up. Stay with us.